Chapter 13, How to Find Customers for What You Sell. Anyone can start a business, but to stay in business, you need a steady stream of customers who buy what you sell. Finding those customers sometimes seems like a difficult, time-consuming, and expensive task, but it doesn't have to be. Although you may never learn to love sales and marketing, which is what finds customers is all about, you can learn to do it effectively and economically. Here are answers to some of the most frequently asked questions about how to win customers for your small business. Is there any secret to marketing products? The secret of success for marketing is to realize marketing requires you to do four things. Get the word about your products and services out to as many potential customers as you can. Remind those potential customers frequently about what you do. Persuade them to buy from you rather than from the other competitors. Deliver a top-notch product with top-notch support so your customers will give you repeat business and refer new customers to you. How do most small businesses get their customers? Results of a survey completed by more than 900 visitors to the Home Office Small Business Roundtable on the Genie service in 1992 show that the majority of small and home-based businesses, 54%, get most of their customers through word-of-mouth advertising. The second leading source of customers for the same group of people was networking, 16%. What is word-of-mouth advertising? Word-of-mouth advertising is what happens when one person tells another about what you do. If the word of mouth is a glowing testimonial, or even a neutral, I know someone who does that, it can bring customers your way. It will always make people more responsive to your ads or calls because they will haven't already heard positive things about your company. On the other hand, if the word of mouth is negative, if a customer complains you didn't satisfy their needs, screwed up a job, or didn't respond to their calls, word of mouth advertising will drive customers away. What is networking? Networking is making business contacts. Is it you telling other people what you do? The contacts you make may be directly with potential customers, or they may be with individuals who give you leads or refer customers to you. Your networking contacts may also be with people who can provide valuable information that will help you improve your business or gain industry knowledge. Networking is what you do every time you give someone you meet a business card. Shake hands and introduce yourself to others at Chamber of Commerce or professional associates meetings. Participate in a formal or informal sales leads exchange group. Flip pancakes at the Lions Club breakfast. Accept a seat on the board of a nonprofit organization. Exchange tips and business information with non-competing businesses. Attend the professional association's dinner dance. Introduce yourself to the person sitting next to you on the airplane or standing in line ahead of you at the bank. Offer to answer another's business questions. Ask another business person for suggestions or about experience in some particular matter. Donate a prize for a holiday bazaar. How does networking lead to new business? Networking can boost business in several ways. One of the most important functions is to make your name familiar to prospective customers. If someone has met you or heard about your company from a friend, they are likely to place more trust in you than they would place in a stranger. This is incidentally is the reason people buy name brand products instead of less expensive house brands, even though the house brands may have identical ingredients. Networking puts contact information in the hands of potential customers. When you give people you meet your business card and they put it in their wallet or briefcase, you are making it easy for them to contact you. Even if a prospect loses your business card, he or she may remember your business name after meeting you and be able to get in touch with you by looking you up in the phone book or calling information. A single networking contact can at times give your business a tremendous long-lasting boost. Barbara Robbie, owner of Belle of the Ball, a former gown rental service in East Setauket, New York, was at a private party when she happened to meet a woman who was responsible for planning the annual spring fashion show at a local church. When Robbie decided her unique business, renting out wedding party and groom gowns, she was asked if she would like to put on a show at the church that year. Robbie accepted the invitation and then asked women from the church and girls from a local high school to model her gowns at the show. The models publicized the show to all their friends, and the church publicized it in the weekly bulletin board distributed among parishioners. On the night of the show, close to 400 women and teenage girls, packed into the church basement for the event. Robbie got dozens of new customers directly from the show and continued to get referrals and business from people who had attended the show for several years afterward. The church benefited too. The fashion show proved to be one of the most successful fundraisers it had that year. Won't people get annoyed if I talk about my business all the time? A little common sense goes a long way. For instance, no one really wants to talk business at social gatherings. But when a group of strangers happens to be seated at the same table or to be standing in the same corner of the room at a cocktail party, it's natural for people to ask one another what they do for a living. If you are asked, there's nothing wrong with briefly stating what you do or sounding excited about it. Many business functions are held specifically to allow business people to network. Others combine networks with associate meetings, such as functions. Such functions generally set aside a half hour or so for networking before the actual meeting takes place. The most difficult thing about networking at this time of meeting about this type of meeting can be finding a way to shake hands with a new acquaintance and exchange business cards without spilling your drink. Is handing out business cards at business gatherings all I have to do to network and get new customers? Usually, people who build the most contacts through networking are those who become actively involved in 2 or 3 organizations in which they have a sincere interest and which they are somewhat related to their business. People who just show up to push their products and services have little concern for the organization or little interest in what other members of the organization do, are usually seen as opportunists and don't get much business tossed their way. Those who actively participate in a group, regularly attend meetings, contribute thoughts, and if needed, pitch in and help plan events, maintain membership lists, or even move chairs or serve the organization in some other way are the ones most likely to land businesses. How else can I build business through networking? Asking for help when you need it can sometimes be extremely effective. Many successful people like being mentors to business owners who are just starting out. They will offer information, leads, and contacts to help a new business owner get off the ground. You can tap into this network through associations and business groups. Sometimes all it takes is to ask if anyone has experience handling a problem that puzzles you. Paul Mayer, author of several wi- Paul Mayer, author of several widely used shareware programs from IBM and compatible microcomputers, says his shareware sales were languished along at one or two a month until he joined the Association of Shareware Professionals and learned about marketing shareware. A few years after joining the association, he was able to quit his full-time job and earn his living entirely from his shareware sales. Be aware, though, that people don't like to be used. Don't expect people to do things for you that you could easily do yourself. And do remember to thank friends for their help. If you abuse people's generosity, they will remember. And like negative word of mouth, the memory will wind up driving customers away rather than attracting them. What other ways do home and small businesses find customers? Home and small businesses find customers in every imaginable way. Here are just a few: sending out personalized or mass mailings, getting listings in the yellow pages and other directories, using sales representatives, calling prospects on the phone, making personal visits to prospects' offices or homes, using print or broadcast advertising, exhibiting at and attending trade shows, bidding on contracts from government organizations, getting publicity in trade or other media, speaking at meetings on panels, etc., partnering with large corporations, or becoming a certified developer trainer, etc. Participating in cooperative advertising programs with major manufacturers, doing cooperative advertising with non-competitive small businesses, getting products advertised included in large mail or house catalogs, subcontracting or freelancing for large businesses in the same field, getting major distributors to take on and sell products, getting products reviewed in publications, getting certified by regulatory agencies, being a member of one or more professional societies, hanging up a sign in an area where business signs are permitted, displaying wares, flowers, vegetables, antiques on lawns, on sidewalks, or any other way visible to passerbyers, selling at flea markets, selling at jurified craft shows, selling products on consignment, giving lessons, art, pottery, etc., in a store or home and selling related products and supplies. Have an open house to sell products. Offering people free merchandise if they agree to host a party for their friends at which you sell your merchandise. Sending promotional newsletters to targeted customers, getting work shown at galleries, banks, or restaurants, having the business name professionally lettered onto the business car or van, exchanging mailing lists with businesses that sell to the same customers but don't compete with you, selling to federal, state, or local governments. While networking and word of mouth advertising Will networking and word of mouth advertising be enough to get customers, or should I advertise too? Some small businesses never use traditional advertising. Others would have few customers if they didn't advertise. Generally, businesses that sell customer goods and services and require a high volume of sales tends to be the ones that benefit most from traditional advertising. Businesses that sell creative or consulting services to other businesses tend to, thus, car repairs, catering, resume preparations, rental services, tutoring services, pizza parlors, hair and nail salons, appliance parts stores, and similar businesses usually need to advertise regularly using the yellow pages, newspaper, magazines, TV, radio, and community mailers. Businesses selling creative services, writing, or artwork, for instance, consulting services, program services, or similar intangible services to business generally derive little benefit from traditional advertising, though they sometimes do well with direct mail. Still, other businesses find that their customers come from a combination of paid advertising and word of mouth. Barbara Robbie got the first customer for the Belle of the Ball by placing a very small ad in a popular weekly newspaper for 4 weeks as a trial. The ad brought her inquiries and customers, and so she repeated the ad. And then she placed the same ad in a second weekly newspaper in the same community. Although she believes the most of her customers now came from word of mouth advertising and repeat business, she not only continues to advertise to maintain visibility, but as business income permits gradually expands the numbers of newspapers and thus the numbers of towns and villages in which she advertises. As a result, her shop now draws customers from both South Suffolk and Nassau counties, Long Island, and occasionally from New York City as well. Robbie's method of gradually expanding advertising efforts is probably the best way for most small businesses to approach advertising, whether they are using print, broadcast, direct mail, or any other advertising methods. It not only keeps a business from making expensive advertising mistakes, which it can at least afford, but also allow the business to expand at a pace the owner can control and handle. How do I find my first customer? Usually you find your first customer the same way you will find the rest of your customers, through personal contact, ads, mailings, and so on. If you've researched your market before going into business, finding likely prospects for what you sell should be relatively easy. What some new businesses have trouble doing, however, is converting prospects to customers. In other words, convincing potential customers to actually purchase goods or services. Most often, that difficulty occurs because the owner lacks self-confidence or dislikes selling. I always feel uneasy about pressuring people to buy from me if they don't want to. How can I overcome this problem? To overcome the problem, you need to think about sales in a different way. A good salesperson never pressures anyone into buying anything. Instead, he or she helps the prospect make a decision that will solve a problem or achieve some kind of desirable benefit. Thus, to overcome any dislike or fear of selling you must believe in your product or service. Will you buy what you place? Will you buy what you plan to sell at the price you plan to charge and be satisfied with the quality of the product or service? If you can't immediately say yes, don't expect to be able to convince many customers that products or services are worth buying. Know the product or service helps customers. Your customers don't really care whether you are starting a business or that you need their business. All they care about is how will your product or services match their needs. Demonstrate how your goods fill real needs, how your services solve the customer real problem or help the customer achieve some goal, and your products or services will always sell themselves. Learn not to take rejection personally. Many times people are afraid to go out and sell their products because they fear personal rejection. They worry prospects won't want to talk to them, will complain about the call or visit, will slam the phone down, and won't like the product or service. Although such concerns are natural, you shouldn't let negative responses to your sales efforts get you down. No matter what you sell, there will always be people who don't or need your product. No matter how good it may be, only a tiny percent of people who hear about it through calls, contacts, ads, or any other method are going to be willing to buy and buy today. The rest are simply going to be interested. Some may even be rude. You have to learn to roll with the punches. Make sure you have capabilities to meet customer needs. Don't try to sell your services as a consultant, programmer, desktop publisher, auto mechanic, dressmaker, copywriter, or anything else unless you have to experience in the field. Without experience, you will find it very difficult to convince people to buy from you. Your experience might also in result in monetary loss or personal injury to your customer. If that were to happen, you could get sued. If you want to start a business in a field you know little about, get experience, on-hand training before you look for customers. Go to work for some other business, take training courses, volunteer your services to friends or community groups, or do whatever else may be necessary to build experience on your own time and at your own expense. Once you have the training and experience and can prove to yourself as well as to potential customers that you can do the work you say you can, selling will be much easier. Don't sell yourself short. If you are experienced and good at what you do, don't let competitors scare you off. Competition scare you off. In your research, if your research has shown there is room in the market for both you and your competitor, market to your strengths and don't worry too much about the competitor, even if they are much bigger or more widely known than your company. Your small size may actually be a hidden advantage if it lets you offer customers more personalized service or attention to details than your competitor can. How else can I convince customers to buy? There are a slew of techniques salespeople use, but the most important technique for small business persons to remember are these. Qualify your prospect. Make sure he or she can afford what you sell and has authority to make the purchase decision. You don't want to spend hours demonstrating your product to the manager of the marketing department if he or she doesn't make the buying decision or have any influence on them for your type of product or service. Know what objectives you are likely to hear and have answers ready to meet them. Know your products and your competitors inside and out. Give the customer a small sample of a product to test. Don't knock the competitor. Sell your product benefits instead. Learn to ask for the order. Once you've interested a prospect in your product or service, ask them for an order. If you don't, he or she may just buy from your competitor instead of you. Tricks of the trade that make it easy to get the order or to ask what color the customer wants or when he or she needs the product delivered or the work completed. For products or customer items, asking how the customer would like to pay for the product can work too. Think of the words no as meaning I need more information. Don't exaggerate. Have facts to support all your claims. Encourage your prospect to ask you questions and talk about his or her specific needs. Then explain how the feature of your product or service can meet those needs. Is there any way to make word of mouth advertising happen? The way to get positive word of mouth to circulate is to have a good product or service and bend over backwards to please your customer. Calling customers to make sure they are satisfied with the product or service a short time after you've done the job is a good image builder and gives you an opportunity to ask for repeat business and referrals. When you get a referral, follow it up using the name of that person who gave you the lead. Can I post ads on electronic bulletin boards and commercial information services? Most commercial online services have classified advertising sections where you can place ads. If you are using Genie, you can also place a directory style listing for your business products or services in the business resource directory, which is a searchable database of small businesses and of resources for businesses. Another option is to put promotional newsletters, how-to articles, reviews, and shareware programming in electronic libraries online. If your information is valuable and demonstrates your knowledge or expertise in some way, this kind of advertising can bring you customers. Make sure to include a resource box telling people what your business does and how to reach you. Be aware, however, that most online services discourage or forbid advertising in the electronic bulletin board because the bulletin boards are intended as forums for discussion of issues and ideas. Most mass market online services also forbid or discourage users from sending unsolicited advertising through electronic mail to since customers don't like to get junk mail, electronic mail. If you are unsure what the policies of a particular service are, there should be some type of policy statement available online. If you can't find it, most services have electronic mailbox set up for feedback, complaints, or questions about the service. In addition, almost any SISOP forum manager online should be able to answer general policy questions. Do those little magnets, pencils, and other advertising specialties help? Like business cards, they are a good way to get people to remember your name and phone number. Another excellent tool for helping prospects remember you when they need you is to have a Rolodex type card made up with your business name. The little tab on the card could have either your name printed or the nature of your business, printer, delivery, service, etc. Should I solicit businesses from a company I used to work for? Former employers frequently are the first customers of a new business. They are easy to sell to because they know what you can do from your experience working with you. Can I solicit business from a former employer's customers? It depends on the circumstances. If you signed a non-compete agreement, an agreement preventing you from competing with the employer, or if the employer regards their customer list as a trade secret and you copy the list, you could be sued if you solicit business from former employers' customers. If you haven't stolen a customer's list and never signed a compete, can I solicit business from a former employee's customers? It depends on the circumstances. If you signed a non-compete agreement, an agreement preventing you from competing with the employer, or if the employer regards their customer list as a trade secret and you copied the list, you could be sued. If you solicit business from the former employer's customers, if you haven't stolen a customer's list and never signed a non-compete agreement, you might try calling some of those contacts or sending out announcements that you are now in business for yourself. Can a home business use sales agents or distributors? If you can get a sales representative to take on your products and services, if the sales agent is efficient, the relationship can be very beneficial since it will let you concentrate on producing the product or service while the sales representative concentrate on selling it. How can I find a good sales agent? The best way is to ask the stores you would like to see your products sold in or companies you would like to have sell your products with manufacturing representatives they order products from. If you have friends or business acquaintances who sell to the same market you do and use sales representatives, ask them for recommendations too. Finally, you could ask around an industry trade show about good sales reps. How do I need to convince an agent to represent me? What do I need to convince an agent to represent me? You will have to have a good quality product or service and often a line of products. You will also need to show you will be able to fill orders and if the reps get your product into a popular catalog or store that you can handle the paperwork professionally. If you can't deliver the goods and don't handle the paperwork professionally, it will hurt your sales representative's reputation and ability to make good deals in the future. Hence, good reps are often very choosy about the companies with which they deal. Should I tell customers how I am home-based? It depends who your customer is. Huge department store distributors or mail order companies may not want to deal with home-based businesses because they fear they may not have the resources to meet customer needs. Your best bet usually is not to volunteer information about being home-based. But if asked, don't deny it either. Can a small business sell to a federal or state government? Yes, the federal and state government have programs to encourage small businesses to bid on contracts or seek work as subcontractors on government work. Among them are small business seminars, procurement jobs, fairs, and outreach programs through community development organizations. The U.S. Air Force maintains a round table on the Jenny service to help small businesses learn about procurement opportunities and how to deal with government and red tape. What does the government buy? The government buys everything from food to computers to sophisticated electronic surveillance equipment. In fiscal year 1992, the Department of Defense, the DoD, alone purchased more than 117.1 billion in goods and services. Of that amount, about 24 billion in contracts was awarded to small businesses. In addition, the DoD prime contractors awarded small businesses another 18.2 billion in subcontracts. Can a home business or a one-person business sell to the government? Home businesses that have the experience and the capabilities do sell products and services to government. The government, like any other customer, is primarily interested in a company's ability to perform the contract and meet deadlines. Is there a lot of red tape? Yes, there usually is. In fact, the red tape is the leading deterrent to most small businesses who want to sell to the government. You generally can get some help dealing with the red tape through local offices of federal and state agencies or small business administrative branch offices. How do I find out what the government wants to buy? One way to find out what the government is buying is to read the Commerce Business Daily, the CBD. The CBD lists notices of proposed government procurement actions, contract award sales of government property, and other important procurement information. It is published every business day, and contains approximately 500 to 1,000 notices every day. Each notice appears in the CBD only once. All federal procurement offices are required to place notices in the CBD about proposed procurement actions over $25,000 and contract awards over $25,000 that are likely to result in the award of subcontracts. These notices are organized into categories to make it easy to find the ones that might apply to your particular business. The CBD is available in print and electronically. The subscriptions price for printed copies are $321 per year for the first class mail delivery, on $275 per year for bulk mail delivery. You can order a subscription by calling or writing Superintendent of Documents, Washington, D.C., 204-02-9325, number 202-783-3238. If you have a computer and a modem, the CBD can be downloaded in full or by individual service and supply code listed from the Air Force Small Business Roundtable Library on the Jenny service. You don't have to subscribe to the CBD to download it from the Jenny. It can be downloaded the same way any other file can be downloaded. You can get information about procurements that aren't published in the CBD by contacting local branch offices of government offices directly. Ask to have your name placed on the bid list and find out if there is a bulletin board, the traditional kind of or electronic bulletin board you should read to find out about proposed procurement purchases. It might also be a good idea to ask about possible subcontract opportunities with prime contractors in your vicinity. Other sources of information that may be good leads to government contracts are cable TV, local newspapers, and state agencies. What is a prime contractor? A prime contractor is the contractor that has responsibilities for a project. What are the benefits of subcontracting? Subcontracting from a prime government contractor gives small businesses the opportunity to participate and profit from federal contract by doing part of the work on big contracts. It is simply an indirect way of doing business with the government. How do I find listing of prime contractor? The Department of Defense and other agencies maintain lists of prime contracts. You can often get these lists and local government procurement opportunity fairs through local branch offices of government agencies and through city, county, or regional economic or industrial development offices. Many of these offices have people specially designated to help small business wade through the red tape of selling to the government. If you have no previous experience working with the government, this help can be very useful, even if you will be subcontracting from a prime contractor. Will my business benefit by exhibiting at trade shows? Small companies that can afford the expense of the booth space, product literature, hotel accommodations, shipping costs for displays, and so on can benefit from exhibiting in trade shows if they have a product that works, is professionally packaged, and is ready to ship or be sold in quantity to customers at the show and after. What do you need to stand out in a trade show? You don't have to have the fanciest booth in the hall, but you do need a neat, attractive display in a good location for the booth to pay off. You also need to have the booth staffed. Empty booths with literature on the table but no one to explain it or demonstrate the product are going to bring or aren't going to bring in much business. You will also need to have a sufficient amount of professional looking literature to hand out. If you don't have literature, or if it looks like it was done by Auntie Tilly on her 9-pin dot matrix printer that needed a new ribbon, you aren't going to make sales or impress many people. In addition to the literature you have available at your booth, you should have press kits made up to hand out to members of the press and other important contacts who attend the show. Find out too if the show has a press room, and if so, if you can leave stacks of your press kits there for members of the press to pick up. That may get your literature to people who might need to find your booth on the show floor. Giveaways and gimmicks to attract passerbyers to your booth are useful too. The giveaways doesn't have to be terribly expensive. Samples of your products given away as contest prizes periodically during the show. T-shirts with your company name on them given away after each demonstration of your product, or even something as simple as a bowl of wrapped candy can attract people to your booth. How do I decide which shows to go to? Try to check out a show's history. Ask other vendors in your industry which shows have been most productive for them and which shows least productive. Ask which attract the most attendees and most important contacts. Sometimes direct sales of your product from a booth isn't as important as a contact you make with business distributors or sales representatives who can help you bring in more business. Is there any way to take advantage of trade shows without spending too much money for literature and booth space? If your company is too small or new to comfortably afford its own booth at a trade show, you may benefit by helping someone else out in his or her booth. Sharing a booth with another company, or simply attending the show, introducing yourself to large companies and distributors could be useful contacts for you. Can you go on an attendee and hand out flyers? Can you go as an attendee and hand out flyers? Doing that is frowned on, understandably, by vendors who have paid to work at the show. Bring business cards, introduce yourself, and hand out business cards. But leave your sales literature in your hotel room and home unless you are sharing a booth with another company.